Welcome to Ask Ms. ERP. The topic of this video is how to support an ERP. Hello everyone, Ms. ERP here. In the last video, I explained why ERP support is so important. Remember that support doesn't just mean resolving issues. There is also project demand and patches and upgrades to handle. With the move to cloud, the change can be rapid and will need to be operationalized as part of support. For this topic, I am going to share with you the roles that are needed and a model that I have seen work well in the past. Obviously, you can adjust it for what specifically your company needs, but perhaps it will give you a head start. The first thing I would suggest that you do is to develop a set of principles or guidelines, which will help your company define a support model. These principles should be high level and easily understood. Here's a set as an example. First, remember your customer. It should be easy for end users to know where to turn to for support. Another principle could be that you should try and minimize the number of handoffs to resolve an issue. Not only do handoffs add time to resolution, they also usually lead to miscommunication. Kind of like the telephone game. The more a story is passed on, the more it changes, losing the original point. I recommend that support should be provided by those most knowledgeable to do so. Certainly, new people can learn ERP support with more experienced resources guiding them, but what this principle means is that you should not ask a network administrator or sales clerk to support an ERP. There are many complex components, and people usually specialize in one area of support, and it would be best for you to use the right skills in the right roles. Before I talk about a model itself, be aware that the move to cloud is shifting some of the support responsibilities. As cloud-based applications are more reliant on configurations than coding, this allows the functional business areas to take more ownership of the systems that underpin their processes and data. This means that traditional support models can change, but are unlikely to reduce FTEs radically. An ERP or other enterprise application is still a complex system to support, whether in the cloud or on-premise. So, on to the model. What I have seen work well is a tiered support model. How many actual people and tiers you need depends on the size and complexity of your company. Regardless, all the tiers that I will mention should be covered somehow. Starting at the top with Tier 0, which is self-service support. This is where your end users can solve their own problems, whether it is using a learning and support site, online help, or other enablement tools, or reaching out to a local super user. As with all things ERP, I recommend that all functional areas and IT try to be as consistent as possible here to avoid confusion. Tier 1 is usually a help desk or service desk, which should be for all IT support in your company, not just ERP. Their role would be to provide the end users with a common first point of contact, 24/7 if needed. They would log and route tickets to a Tier 2 functional support team based on provided guidelines. Wherever possible, they could resolve simple, repeatable issues and would play a key role in major incident communication. If you have a service management tool that you can use, all the better. And don't limit that just to IT. If your business has support teams, they should use it too. If you are reliant on emails or direct calls to individuals, you will have no way to track the issues or provide coverage if that one person that everyone calls goes on vacation. The concept of a support queue can be managed many different ways, but the goals should be to be able to measure things like criticality, volume, response time, aging, duration, close causes, and customer satisfaction. The volume is particularly important to track, because if issues are coming in faster than they can be resolved, then that is a very visible justification to get some more resources. Another benefit of using a service management tool is that you will build up a knowledge base with which to resolve future issues more quickly or train new people. Once an issue has been recorded and routed to the correct Tier 2 team, there is a good chance that they can resolve the problem. These folks are the functional subject matter experts for their business area. For example, finance, supply chain, HR, or asset management, and are the ones that truly understand their area's business processes and data. They are in the best position to know if the issue is really a process training issue, or perhaps related to something in the business data. This team is sometimes called a Business Center of Excellence, but could also be part of an IT ERP business analyst team, if in the IT group. Wherever they reside organizationally, this team usually is not only responsible for day-to-day issues, but must also participate in any change impact analysis or user acceptance testing. They are also usually responsible for supporting super users, delivering training material, providing estimates for projects, and to keep an eye out for continuous improvement opportunities, all while maintaining a cross-functional view. If the Tier 2 functional support team cannot resolve the issue, then they can turn to Tier 3 ERP technical support for help, which is still needed in the cloud, by the way. Beware of SaaS vendors who imply that you won't need IT at all, as this is definitely not true. In fact, the example model that I am describing is actually meant for a cloud application, as that is where we are all heading. IT's role in ERP support is really to assist with facilitation, coordination, process alignment, and standardization across all areas to avoid the silo mentality. I like to describe this as cross-functional glue. Anything that is used by all areas should be governed by IT. These are things like reporting, testing and quality assurance, security, both application and technical, integrations, and system administration. All of these areas need some kind of oversight to ensure that standards are defined and being followed, documentation is being maintained, and IT are usually the ones to contact vendor support for technical issues. There is a role for IT to play in guiding the Tier 2 teams in IT standard processes, such as incident, change, problem, and release management. It would also make sense for IT to assist with providing service monitoring metrics, as described earlier, to ensure consistency across the areas. They can also help monitor and manage license usage, which is becoming more important in the cloud. Development is likely still with IT, whether that is script development around cloud-based applications or the traditional development on-premise, likely in a product-specific development tool. IT is typically responsible for the infrastructure, environment, and platform management in the cloud, and has the DBAs, developers, and server specialists needed for an on-premise application. Tier 3 ERP technical support should also be responsible for engaging with other technical teams as needed, folks like architecture, cybersecurity, or network admin. Underlying both Tier 2 and Tier 3 are the Tier 4 product support vendors. You are likely paying for this service as part of your application fees, so I encourage you to take advantage of it. While totally okay for the Tier 2 functional support teams to contact the product support vendors, particularly if you consider the principle of minimizing the number of handoffs, there will be situations when they need help dealing with vendors, particularly if the issue is technical or it is not clear which vendor to call. Note that this is becoming increasingly more complex in the cloud, depending on how many different cloud service providers you have. A role that is needed to work with all of the support teams is an organizational change management resource. Someone who can take the lead to ensure consistency in communications and training across all areas. As already mentioned, the ERP world lives in a state of continual change, and having a central resource to manage all ERP stakeholders would be invaluable. I have deliberately not commented on whether you should have in-house or outsourced support, as I believe a hybrid model works best, and you will have to determine what fits your company. I will have more to say on this subject in a future video, but for now, I do believe that end-user facing roles such as the Tier 2 functional SMEs should be insourced, so that you can retain that valuable internal business process knowledge and avoid frustrating end users by them having to explain their issue to a third party. The further removed from the end user, the more probable that the support can be outsourced successfully.
Listen to what I say.
So with this information, you should be ready to set up the optimal support model for your company. All you need to do is define the roles and their responsibilities, determine organizational best fit, and then communicate the support model to the organization. Piece of cake. This concludes the How to Support an ERP topic. There is a link on askmserp.com to email me to ask questions or suggest topics for future videos. Or you can just add comments on any YouTube video. Please subscribe to my channel. Thanks, and see you on the next video.